welcome to the first official episode of the Lonely Crowded Table podcast. I greatly appreciate you listening, and I hope to pay you back with some insight into starting your own campaign. Today, I'll be going over the importance of having a Session 0. I thought this would be a great starting point for a few reasons. The biggest one being, this is considered to be the first step to a lot of people in making and playing a game. What is a Session 0? Do you need one? What should you plan for? How much writing should you already have done? And what if you don't want one at all? Like 99% of playing these games, the answer depends entirely on what you want to do and your comfort level. But let's try to make all of this a little more manageable. Personally, I used to run all of my campaigns without a Session 0. My group was easygoing enough that I could just text them, make a character with these stipulations, and they'd be happy to have a reason to play. But as I started creating larger worlds and larger campaigns, and playing with people who were not my immediate closest friends, I found that taking the time for a Session 0 was incredibly valuable. And by the end of this episode, I think you'll see why. First, before I say it 100 more times, let's talk about what a Session 0 even is. As simply as I see it, a Session 0 is a pre-game meeting between the game master and the players to discuss expectations before the game starts. Or, more simply put, it's the foundational session where everything you build afterward is based on. Think of it like planning a road trip. It's important to not only decide the destination, but also the key stops along the way. Otherwise, it's like hopping on the highway and taking a random exit, hoping there's something interesting to look at. To avoid aimless wandering in your campaign, you should have a Session 0. During this session, you should talk about rules, campaign ideas, or even the length of time you think your group can commit to playing. The most important part is discussing expectations. These games are all about collaborative storytelling, and starting with friendly, open conversations about what everyone wants is, in my opinion, the perfect way to begin. Clarifying the tone of the game is a great first step. Is this going to be serious and dramatic? Humorous and lighthearted? Suspenseful? Dark and chaotic? Or something else entirely? The key here is mutual agreement. For example, someone who wants to play a pink bugbear named Applekiss probably doesn't fit in a grimdark world where demons are burning villages. Unless, of course, everyone decides that does sound fun. The value here is twofold. You ensure the players have a hand in shaping the world, and you, as the DM, have more to build on as you start writing your campaign. Next, consider discussing themes. I recommend coming to the Session 0 with a few themes already in mind to make this easier for everyone. Let's say maybe you want a high fantasy campaign about saving a princess or defeating an evil mage. Or you're aiming for a horror theme where undead are bursting out of the floorboards across the land. The point here is to ensure everyone is excited about the story you're telling. For instance, if your players aren't interested in a high-sea pirate adventure, you don't want to waste hours planning a swashbuckling campaign. Themes can even draw inspirations from other media. I once based a campaign on Chrono Trigger, a fantastic SNES game that transitioned surprisingly well to D&D. Whatever theme you may choose, ensure it resonates with your group. Play style is another big topic. Are you running a combat-heavy game, a puzzle-focused one, roleplay-heavy, or maybe a mix? By understanding your group's preferences, you can shape the campaign accordingly. For example, your players might want lots of combat. If they do, you know to focus on encounter design rather than intricate political intrigue. While of course you can still incorporate parts of gameplay like mystery and problem solving or politics, you know not to focus on these just to maintain interest for everyone. Not everyone finds doing mental gymnastics interesting, and not everyone wants to run around engaging in combat with every creature or being you set in front of them. Once you've settled on the tone and theme, it's time to consider characters. Discussing character ideas in Session 0 ensures they fit the world you're building. For instance, a brooding Lone Ranger might not fit into a light-hearted fairy tale adventure, or a knight reclaiming his castle might struggle in a campaign set entirely on the high seas. It's a good way to eliminate awkward situations and establish coherency between characters and the world. Session 0 is also the perfect time to establish house rules. Maybe you want to homebrew mechanics, like always rounding up HP gains, or set table etiquette, like limiting cell phone use. The point is to ensure everyone's on the same page to avoid confusion or frustration during the game. Be careful changing the rules, however, without having experience. The games are set up and ruled the way they are for a particular reason, and if you are unsure of the impacts of your changes or ideas to core mechanics, setting up new rules can strictly be a hindrance, but we can talk about this in a later episode. For new players, Session 0 is especially helpful. It makes this often intimidating hobby feel manageable. You can walk them through tone, theme, playstyle, character creation, and house rules so they feel prepared and excited to start. We all understand how intimidating it can be, players and DMs alike. Session 0 isn't just about planning, it's about setting a strong foundation. By outlining tone, theme, playstyles, characters, and house rules, you are addressing potential issues before they arise and ensuring everyone is on the same page. Personally, I love creating my own campaigns. Even if they aren't perfect, the process is so fun for me. Session 0 gives me the feedback I need to start writing with purpose. I even once ran 2 Session 0s for the same campaign to refine everything with my players. The result? A campaign that ran smoothly and kept everyone engaged, and is my favorite game I am still running to date. How about you? Have you run or participated in a Session 0 before? How did it go? If you skipped it, did it impact your campaign? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can email me at thelonelycrowdedtable@gmail.com or reach out on social media at thelonelycrowdedtable on Instagram. And if you're stuck on how to start your own Session 0, I would personally be happy to help. To wrap this up, Session 0 is used to begin building a strong foundation for your game. By discussing the tone, theme, playstyles, character creation, and house rules, you are giving your campaign the best chance to succeed. Once again, new or veteran, it is an invaluable step to ensure everyone is on the same page and ready to have fun. Next episode, I'll go over creating your first playable character and some of the tips and tricks I use to make them both important and memorable. Thank you for listening to the first official episode of the Lonely Crowded Table podcast. If you found this helpful or are awaiting more game-tested assistance, support me by just following or subscribing, leaving a review or share, and do not forget I am here to help. Thank you.